And away we go, episode 1355 of the Al Galdi podcast. It is Thursday, June 25th, 2026, and we have a lot going on. We have developments in the saga of San Francisco 49ers receiver Brandon Aiyuk, who badly wants to play for the Washington Commanders. We have another big move by the Washington Capitals. We have painful losses for the Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles. We have the 2026 NBA Draft now being over. We on Tuesday night had round one, in which the Washington Wizards took BYU's AJ DeBonsa with the number one overall pick. We on Wednesday night had round two, in which the Wizards reportedly agreed to trade their two second-round picks, the numbers 51 and 60 overall picks, to the Orlando Magic for their number 46 overall pick. And the way that the NBA Draft works, for reasons that nobody understands, the trades don't become official until after the fact. So the teams make the picks for each other, but the Magic for the Wizards at 46, assuming that the trade was agreed to prior to the pick, took Felix Okpara, a big out of the University of Tennessee. He's from Nigeria. He had the 2026 NBA Draft Combine, registered a barefoot height of 6'10", a weight of 237 pounds, a 7'2" wingspan, and a standing reach of 9'4". He, for Tennessee, was a high motor rim protector, ran the floor well, could finish around the rim, some potential front court depth for our Wizards. Hello and welcome to this Thursday installment of the Al Galdi podcast. Next segment, more Instagram fun with our friend Brandon Aiyuk. I'll play for you what he said in a video that he posted on Wednesday. Quote, "And if I'm crazy or if I'm capping, tell them boys to cut me today and I'll sign with the Commanders tomorrow. We'll see who is capping." End quote. And I'll get into intel from ESPN NFL insider Adam Schefter on Washington and Aiyuk. And I'll react to notable comments from Niners tight end George Kittle on Aiyuk, including Kittle with health intel on Aiyuk, but also Kittle with a, shall we say, buyer beware warning regarding Aiyuk. You know, at some point, I need to send a thank you card to Brandon Aiyuk for all of the content that he's providing for this podcast. Also on the show, another major move by the Caps, this time a sign and trade. They on Wednesday night announced having acquired forward Alex Tuch from the Buffalo Sabres for a third-round pick in the 2027 NHL Draft, and forward David Kampf, and announced that the Sabres, prior to the trade, re-signed Tuch to an 8-year, $84 million contract extension, average annual value, AAV, of $10.5 million. Big money in a big move, and this news came a day after the Caps on Tuesday evening announced having traded for St. Louis Blues forward Jordan Kyrou. The Caps seemingly are going all in on trying to win next season. Is this securing winger Alex Ovechkin coming back for a 22nd NHL season, what would be his age 41 season? And on the show, we'll talk Washington Nationals and Baltimore Orioles, as yes, each team on Wednesday suffered a brutal loss. The Nats suffered a brutal loss for a second consecutive game, this time a 5-4 loss to the Philadelphia Phillies at Nationals Park on Wednesday evening, in a game in which the Nats blew a 4-3 ninth-inning lead by allowing 2 runs in the top of the ninth. The O's suffered a 7-6 10-inning loss at the Los Angeles Angels on Wednesday to lose 2 out of 3 games in the series and to conclude a 4-5 trip out west. The O's in that game blew a 5-2 eighth-inning lead. You can hit me up on X at Al Galdi. You can email me, the Al Galdi podcast at yahoo.com. And in our quest for 2,000 ratings of the podcast, if you want Apple Podcasts, give the podcast a 5-star rating. On the podcast, we'll read whatever you write in writing a review of the podcast, but the review can include just saying something about sports. You don't just have to write about the podcast. Email from Chris Moore in Odenton, Maryland, on the recent Instagram posts of Brandon Aiyuk and him expressing his desire to join the Washington Commanders. I, on Tuesday's show, episode 1353, wondered if him constantly putting up Instagram posts expressing this desire is getting creepy. Writes Chris, "The Aiyuk posts are reminding me of the crazy sister from Wedding Crashers who Vince Vaughn's character acquires. For what it's worth, though, she was crazy. They ended up together as she was effective." I don't have to give a spoiler alert for a 20-year-old film, do I? Anyway, here's hoping that if we go that route, that Aiyuk is effective. As I think about it, we've never really had a diva wide receiver, have we? We've always had the stoic workman in the mold of Art Monk, or the dog-ass competitor in the mold of Gary Clark, Santana Moss, and Terry McLaurin. Take good care and have a great day. Thank you very much for the email, Chris. Gloria in Wedding Crashers, played by Isla Fisher. Good comp for Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk is Gloria, and the Washington Commanders are Jeremy, played by Vince Vaughn. By the way, a lot of that movie was filmed in Maryland. And I actually was at a bar in Annapolis in 2004, 2005, I can't remember. And the two main actors in the movie, Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, were at the bar. And this girl who was in our group was hammered. And she went up to Vaughn and said, "Has anyone ever told you that you look like Vince Vaughn?" Pretty funny. Anyway, two things about Isla Fisher. A, she's from Australia, and she in real life speaks with an Australian accent. The way that she spoke in Wedding Crashers is not how she actually speaks. So a high-level acting performance by her in playing Gloria in that movie. B, she's married to Sacha Baron Cohen, who famously has played Ali G in the Ali G TV shows and Borat in the Borat movies. Interesting topic from Chris, though. Has Washington ever had a true diva receiver? Not really, no. Guys like Gary Clark, Pierre Garçon, Deshaun Jackson were super competitive, wanted targets, could be tricky to deal with, but I wouldn't call any of them divas, certainly not while they played for the Redskins. I mean, the biggest controversy with a Washington receiver that comes to my mind is the famous fight between receiver Michael Westbrook and running back Stephen Davis, August 1997. But I don't know that that fight constitutes Westbrook being a diva. Now, that fight was something. For those unfamiliar, the Redskins WR1 and RB1 got in a fight in August 1997. I read to you from an article from UPI, United Press International, dated August 23rd, 1997. Quote, Washington Redskins wide receiver Michael Westbrook has been hit with a whopping $50,000 fine for assaulting teammate Stephen Davis on the practice field on Tuesday. Westbrook, who did not make the trip to Miami for Thursday's 28-7 preseason loss to the Dolphins, was told of the fine during a meeting this morning with Coach Norv Turner, who called his actions detrimental to the team. Afterwards, he apologized privately to Davis and then to the entire team. He will also be kept out of today's team practice, although his status for the Redskins season opener at Carolina August 31st is unclear. During Tuesday's practice at Redskin Park, Westbrook suddenly began punching Davis in the face shortly after the two had been standing together with teammates Brian Mitchell and Chris Dishman. The reason for the attack still has not been disclosed. Also, team officials have not verified what injuries Davis suffered. He's been out most of the preseason while recovering from a knee injury. The attack is not believed to have affected the injury. Westbrook has not lived up to his billing after signing a 70-year, $18 million contract with the Redskins in 1995. In 2 injury-plagued seasons, he has caught just 2 touchdown catches, end quote. And what eventually came out was that Westbrook attacked Davis because Davis had called Westbrook, shall we say, a pejorative synonym for a man who is gay. How about we phrase it that way? A pejorative synonym for a man who is gay. But yeah, I don't know if we classify Michael Westbrook as a diva. Disappointing, yes. Diva, well, I guess depends on how you define diva. Hey, please consider subscribing to this podcast. If you're not already doing that, subscribing to the podcast costs nothing. Make sure that you never miss an episode and helps out the podcast a lot. And if you're already subscribing, thank you. Look, choosing life insurance is tricky. Heck, life insurance as a topic can be uncomfortable, but Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. You'll get your lowest rate from Ethos' network of trusted carriers. And know this, Ethos has a rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 4,000 reviews. Take 10 minutes today to get covered with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/Al Galdi. That's ethos.com/Al Galdi. Ethos.com/Al Galdi. Application times may vary. Rates may vary.
Imagine buying your kid a toy only to find the batteries aren't included. Or buying furniture, but missing the tools to build it. Frustrating, right? Now imagine the exact same feeling, but you're paying way more. That is what buying business software usually feels like. Fragmented, disconnected, and incredibly expensive. Odoo completely changes that. Odoo is a complete, fully integrated business suite where all your apps actually talk to each other. We're talking automated lead routing for your sales team, seamless AI integration, and intuitive point-and-click website builder. It's everything your business needs to scale, saving you time, headaches, and money. Stop piecing your software together. Go to odoo.com. That's odoo.com to learn more.
So one of the funny things about this saga of San Francisco 49ers receiver Brandon Aiyuk is that there has been very little actual concrete reporting on what's happening. There has been a lot of discussion. There has been a lot of interpretation. There has been a lot of conjecture, but there has been very little reporting about what actually is going on. Reporters, like fans, are in the dark. Specific to him wanting to play for the Washington Commanders, well, we know that he does, given all that he has been posting on Instagram. And by the way, the posts continue. You know, on this podcast, I'm not going to go crazy every time you post something about Washington, because at this point, him doing that already is old. But yeah, the posts do continue. The Instagram fun truly got going earlier this month. Aiyuk on the weekend of June 6th and June 7th was very busy on Instagram. He on June 6th posted 2 photos in which he was wearing a Washington Commanders hat. He, in the first photo, posted a mirror selfie in which he was wearing a Washington Commanders hat while shirtless and wearing boxers with his pants sagging down. He, in the second photo, was wearing a Washington Commanders hat while holding a football with a caption that appeared to read, quote, "Stop the cap, the gig is up," end quote. Aiyuk on June 7th on Instagram posted a bizarre 90-second video in which he gave a speech in which he equated the Niners not wanting to release him to a kid who has misbehaved, quote, "running from the belt," end quote. He also told the Niners to stop acting like, quote, "a female dog," end quote, and told the Niners to stop acting like, quote, "a little cat," end quote. Aiyuk on June 9th posted an Instagram video in which he called the Niners, quote, "stupid," end quote, and quote, "dumb," end quote, for paying him millions of dollars. Did appear to get some facts wrong. He said that the Niners voided guaranteed money for the 2027 season. The Niners voided money for the 2026 season. And he said that he would be on a new team in 2027 when he pretty clearly is going to be on a new team in 2026. Aiyuk on June 12th. On Instagram, posted 2 photos of himself in an apparent velour tracksuit in the back of a messy van with the location for the photos marked as Washington, D.C., although you on Instagram can post a location without it being true. The caption for one of the photos was, quote, "How could you cross me?" end quote. Aiyuk on June 12th deleted the 2 Instagram videos in which he clearly ripped the Niners. Aiyuk on June 14th on Instagram posted a video of him dancing in a white robe with the message, quote, "coming to an end zone near you," end quote. Aiyuk on June 16th on Instagram posted a video of him shirtless stepping on a scale and weighing 208 pounds. Aiyuk this past Sunday night, June 21st, on Instagram posted a video in which he said, quote, "Go Commanders, raise hail, take command," end quote. Aiyuk this past Monday morning, June 22nd, on Instagram posted a photo of Washington Redskins quarterback Mark Rippon hoisting the Lombardi Trophy off the Skins' win in Super Bowl 26 on January 26, 1992. Aiyuk this past Tuesday, June 23rd, on Instagram posted a photo of Washington quarterback Jaden Daniels and praised his cleats. And Aiyuk on Wednesday, June 24th, on Instagram, posted a video of him holding a Washington Commanders game ball and posted a video in which he said, quote, "And if I'm crazy or if I'm capping, tell 'em boys to cut me today and I'll sign with the Commanders tomorrow. We'll see who is capping," end quote. Here was that audio.
"And if I'm crazy or if I'm capping, tell them boys cut me today and I'll sign with the Commanders tomorrow. And we'll see who capping."
There you go. And for the record, we on this podcast are never guilty of capping. As we have discussed on the podcast, including during the opening segment of this show, it's hard to know from a Washington perspective whether what Aiyuk is doing is funny or frightening. Whether we should be amused or terrified. He has these connections to various people with Washington, including Jaden Daniels, general manager Adam Peters, offensive assistant Wes Welker, and running backs coach Anthony Lynn. All have extensive past with Aiyuk. Peters, Welker, and Lynn also have extensive past with the Niners. What has given me comfort throughout this saga is that whatever Washington decides with Aiyuk will/should be done via intel and knowledge on where he's at physically and mentally and what truly happened between him and the Niners. But again, actual concrete reporting in this situation has been scarce, especially in terms of Washington. One of the top national NFL insiders, Ian Rappaport of NFL Network, he on multiple occasions has said that Washington wants Aiyuk, so there is that. If Washington did not want Aiyuk, truly had no interest in Aiyuk, the team could leak something to someone like Rappaport along the lines of a source close to the situation says Washington has no interest in Aiyuk, but we've had nothing like that. Adam Peters, if he wanted to, could shut down all of this Aiyuk to Washington talk by leaking to reporters that Washington doesn't want Aiyuk, but Peters has not done that. Now, it is possible that Peters doesn't want Aiyuk, but hasn't leaked to the media that Washington doesn't want Aiyuk, because doing so would lessen the team's leverage with, say, receiver Stephon Diggs, who's an unrestricted free agent. We know that Peters is rather feisty in negotiations, especially with receivers. And so if he wants Diggs and not Aiyuk, making it known that the team doesn't want Aiyuk would lessen the team's leverage with Diggs. And this could also apply to another unrestricted free agent receiver, but my guess is that Peters does want Aiyuk. We'll see, though. The proof will be in what Washington does. Meantime, another prominent national NFL insider, Adam Schefter, he has come out with some intel on the situation. Here were Ty Schmidt of the Pat McAfee Show and Adam Schefter on the Adam Schefter podcast in an installment that came out this past Tuesday.
I think every time he opens his mouth, he damages his standing with other teams, and he scares other teams from bringing him into their organization. And I just think he doesn't realize that. He thinks he's helping the situation. I don't believe that to be the case. And speaking to teams, everybody's saying, what's wrong with this guy right now? Like, it's unsettling to watch him. It's scary to see how he's handling himself. And by the way, he's still a member of the 49ers organization, still. The team that paid him, and he's saying go Commanders, which clearly is the team that he would like to go play for, being that he played with Jaden Daniels at Arizona State, so he'd like to go rejoin Jaden Daniels in Washington. I haven't asked Washington, I'll have to give them a call, their thoughts on signing Brandon Aiyuk, bring him in. Maybe for all we know, they're planning on doing that and it'll get done, but I know, having spoken to them leading up to the draft, they had some questions at that point in time, and I would imagine they still exist. What I would think happens here is most of the NFL is shut down. They're not in the building. This is the one time that everybody can get away. And I would imagine that when the 49ers get back and reconvene for training camp, right around there, I would think that they wind up releasing Brandon Aiyuk, just flat out cutting him. And at that point in time, Brandon Aiyuk could be a free agent. And then we'll see what type of impact these social media posts have had, if any. Maybe there will not be a team that is bothered or concerned by the way that he's acted and behaved and handled himself, and maybe they'll be willing to bring him in knowing the talent he has. But he also hasn't played much in 2 years. Right. He's also coming off major knee injuries. And now there are questions about the way he's handled himself. And so I don't know that anybody's waiting to go sign Brandon Aiyuk. I could be wrong. But I think teams are going to look into it and make a determination about whether or not they are willing to roll the dice on a player who's gifted and talented, but has raised questions by his behavior this offseason and, frankly, during the season last year as well. I mean, they voided his guaranteed money.
Right.
How much do you have to do to have all your guaranteed money voided?
Yeah, exactly. And that is my biggest thing is I understand all of the stuff he's doing on social. Like, that alone is enough to probably turn a lot of teams off. Like you mentioned, he pretty much hasn't played in 2 years, and at that age, coming off a major injury, like, is he the same guy? I don't know. So it'd be very interesting to see if someone, signs him for the vet minimum or something like that. But again, at this point, is it worth all the headaches that are going to potentially, because is he going to be happy when he gets there if he's not making, the money that maybe he thinks he deserves?
He's not going to make that money, Ty.
Exactly. It's never going to happen at this point, unless he were to be the model citizen and the model player, and he goes somewhere and has 1,500 yards and 12 touchdowns this year, but outside of that, it's, you're kind of just going to have to take your medicine and figure something out. But at what point, too, does I understand that him and Jaden Daniels were buddies in college. Like, this isn't college anymore, and they need to make sure that they're in a window right now, not too far removed from going to an NFC championship. They need to be very, cautious and, aware of what they're doing. So I don't know if that makes sense. But we'll see what happens, because like you said, it does seem like every single time we see some sort of post from him or whatever it may be, it's like, oh, well, he kind of seems like he might be ruffling some feathers, and I don't think people really necessarily appreciate it, because again, he hasn't played in 2 years and he's coming off a major injury.
I wonder if the 49ers are going to go ahead and fine him for his behavior. I know he's on the reserve left team list, I believe, right now, but couldn't the 49ers still fine him for speaking out against the team that he's currently under contract with and criticizing the team openly? I wonder if they could fine him for his behavior.
All right, so some notable items from Adam Schefter right there. Number one, Schefter spoke to Washington in the lead-up to the 2026 NFL Draft, and the Commanders, quote, had some questions at that point in time, end quote, about Brandon Aiyuk. Number two, Schefter thinks that what will happen is that the Niners will release Aiyuk around the start of their 2026 training camp. And know this, Niners camp starts early. Rookies are due to report on July 18th. Veterans are due to report on July 25th. For comparison's sake, rookies for 2026 Washington Commanders training camp are due to report on July 24th. Veterans on July 28th. Number three, Schefter could see the Niners fining Aiyuk for what he's doing on Instagram. We know that the NFL has anti-tampering rules. We usually think of those rules as being to prevent teams from tampering with players. What about a player tampering with a team? We in recent days with Brandon Aiyuk also have had what Niners tight end George Kittle said on Barstool Sports' Pardon My Take podcast in an episode that came out this past Monday. He said good things about the health of Aiyuk, who has not played in an NFL game since suffering a torn ACL and torn MCL in his right knee in the Niners' 28-18 home loss to the Kansas City Chiefs on October 20th, 2024. But Kittle also seemingly took some shots at Aiyuk, including saying, quote, "You guys have fun with that, I guess," end quote. Kittle was speaking with PF commenter, who's a big Washington fan, and Big Cat. So the "you guys" was in reference to the Washington Commanders and their fans. So here was some of this conversation.
I know that it's a sensitive thing because you like the guy.
I'm gonna let you guys talk while I eat a Reese's.
Because you like the guy and the whole rehabbing away from the team, that can be tough on everybody. So I get that. How good is he still? Like the last time you saw him play, how excited should I be to probably have him on the Commanders?
The last time I saw Aiyuk was, call it week 6, 7, or 8. I don't really know. But I used to make it a habit of mine to go out early in the morning before meetings to watch him train because he'd always be out there early. And I watched him run over 22 miles an hour and stop on a dime. So he's still got it. Mm-hmm. Or at least, that was 8 months ago. So I don't really know. But yeah, you guys have fun with that, I guess.
Yeah, thank you.
That's perfectly put.
I'm going to have a lot of fun with that.
Perfectly put.
I guess.
Still got it. Have fun with that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have fun with all that comes with it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, he seems like he's very active on social media, which, that's a great way to connect with fans and brands and sponsors. Mm-hmm. So it seems like this, once he gets to us, then he'll finally be happy and every bad thing's going to go away.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't be happy either after a team paid me $130 million.
I know that can be, the taxes in California, he's probably like, oh, this sucks. I got so much taxes to pay.
More money, more problems, right?
Yes.
So 100%. We'll take him. He'll make less money and he'll be happier. And then he'll stop posting weird stuff on social media.
That honestly sounds like a game plan.
Okay, yeah. Okay, good. Then we're all in agreement. It sounds like a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so the nature of Pardon My Take, as I'm sure many of you know, is that there is a lot of kidding around and a lot of sarcasm. I mean, PF commenter, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, but like 95% of everything he says comes off as sarcasm, like we heard right there. So who knows how much of the nature of the show influenced what George Kittle said there, but he very much came off as someone who is over the act of Brandon Aiyuk, although Kittle did say that Aiyuk looked good as of the middle of last regular season. By the way, has there been any update on Brandon Aiyuk's legal situation? Remember that? We on June 3rd learned that the Santa Clara County District Attorney's Office had issued a warrant for the arrest of Aiyuk, this on a misdemeanor charge of exhibition of speeding. The warrant was in reference to a video that Aiyuk posted on YouTube this past December. He in the video appeared to tape himself from the driver's seat of a vehicle going well over the posted 40 miles per hour speed limit on a road that runs past the Niners Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. And Aiyuk, off the breaking news of the warrant being issued, took to Instagram to post a video of himself driving a car on a racetrack. Not that this warrant is, massive legal news, okay? This isn't OJ. But why have we heard nothing on what's going on with Aiyuk's legal situation? Also, why did it take so long for this warrant to be issued if it's in reference to something that happened in December? Maybe someone listening knows this, but is it at all common for a warrant not to be issued until 6 months after the alleged crime? Seems like a lengthy delay, but maybe not. All right. Hey, whatever big event that you're planning, a wedding, a party, whatever, consider using a great sponsor of this podcast, Catering by Uptown. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Catering by Uptown is outstanding. It is a family business. It is run by the Pereiras, who are great Washington Commanders fans. Catering by Uptown is committed to meeting your every need with elegance and precision. Catering by Uptown takes care of every detail so that you can enjoy your event. And Catering by Uptown's specialty is weddings. Get excellent service at an affordable price. In fact, if you visit cateringbyuptown.com and click on venues, you can check out Catering by Uptown's premier wedding venues. Visit cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. That's cateringbyuptown.com and make sure that you mention that Al Galdi sent you. Well, at this point, if you were Washington Capitals winger Alex Ovechkin, how do you not come back for a 22nd NHL season, what would be his age 41 season? This past season was the final season of a 5-year, $47.5 million contract, to which the Caps re-signed Ovi as an unrestricted free agent in July 2021. Indications have been that he will play at least one more season, but nothing's official. And the Caps right now are loading up for next season. The Caps on Wednesday night announced having acquired forward Alex Tuch from the Buffalo Sabres for a third-round pick in the 2027 NHL Draft and forward David Kampf, and announced that the Sabres, prior to the trade, re-signed Tuch to an 8-year, $84 million contract extension, average annual value, AAV, of $10.5 million. A sign and trade acquisition for the Caps. Tuch had been set to be an unrestricted free agent in the 2026 offseason, and this news came a day after the Caps on Tuesday evening announced having traded forwards Connor McMichael and Milton Gastrine and the number 16 overall pick in the 2026 NHL Draft to the St. Louis Blues for forward Jordan Kyrou. So first Jordan Kyrou, now Alex Tuch, two wingers who provide offensive firepower, two big-time win-now moves by the Caps. They and Alex Tuch are getting a guy who had been set to be one of the top unrestricted free agents in the NHL this offseason. He is entering his age 30 season, but he for the Sabres was durable and productive. He, over the last 4 regular seasons, has played in 310 of a possible 328 games. He, over the last 4 regular seasons, has the following goal totals: 36, 22, 36, and 33. He, over the last 4 regular seasons, has the following assist totals: 43, 37, 31, and 33. I read to you from an ESPN.com piece by ESPN NHL insider Emily Kaplan on Wednesday afternoon. Quote, several teams were interested in acquiring Tuch, sources told ESPN, and were preparing big bids. The Capitals fit what Tuch was looking for as a free agent, including a team that is motivated to win now, end quote. Yes, the Caps are motivated to win now. Caps President of Hockey Operations Brian McClellan and Caps Senior Vice President and General Manager Chris Patrick are behaving with extreme urgency, especially when you factor in that the Caps last Thursday morning, June 18th, announced having signed head coach Spencer Carberry to a multi-year contract extension. And who knows what else could be coming. The 2026 NHL Draft is this weekend. Round 1 is on Friday night. Rounds 2 through 7 are on Saturday. This year's draft is happening at KeyBank Center in Buffalo, New York. The Caps have the number 18 overall pick in the draft. They got that pick via the trade of defenseman John Carlson to the Anaheim Ducks this past March 6th, what was 2026 NHL trade deadline day. And free agency for this offseason begins this Wednesday, July 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern. TSN is the sports network in Canada, is Canada's version of ESPN, is partially owned by ESPN. This was TSN NHL analyst and former NHL goaltender Martin Biron on Wednesday afternoon on the Caps having agreed on this sign and trade for Alex Tuch.
Well, first off, for Alex Tuch, it's a great deal. 8 years, $10.5 million a year. Look, this is a player that over the last 7 years was underpaid. He signed his contract when he was with the Vegas Golden Knights, a 7-year deal at under $5 million per year. And over the last 5 years, he's had over 300 points with the Buffalo Sabres, was a leader, played penalty kill, 5-on-5 top line, top minutes, on the power play as well. So he was going to get paid. I actually think that he left some money on the table. He could have gotten 11 and a half, maybe pushing 12 million on July 1. Some teams probably having to overpay to get to the cap floor and to fill in some of the cap space that teams have. But he looked at the Washington Capitals as a good fit. Look, they have a great top 6 right now with Strome, with Pierre-Luc Dubois, with Protas, with Wilson, with Kyrou they acquired. So you're looking at the fit and trying to match your comparables around the league. Adrian Kempe signing with the LA Kings earlier this year at $10.6 million was the number. So Alex Tuch gets close to that at 10.5. Maybe could have got more, but he's looking for the fit, and the fit with Washington was perfect. We all knew he was going to at least get to go somewhere else. Jarmo Kekalainen earlier today saying, we thank Alex Tuch, we're moving in a different direction. We all knew he was going to go on to another team. The fit was good, the price was good, and now Alex Tuch can say he is going to make the money that maybe left on the table over the last 7 years.
Yeah, and Martin Biron played for the Sabres for years. Here was Biron on Wednesday afternoon on what the Caps getting Jordan Kyrou and now Alex Tuch means for Alex Ovechkin.
Well, first off, I think the Washington Capitals are a really good team moving forward with or without Alex Ovechkin. But if I'm OV, he scored 32 goals last year with the Washington Capitals, and you look at the talent that they have up front, saying maybe I don't have to play top line 20 minutes a game. I can be more of a supportive kind of player up front. I can be on the first power play. I can still get 25, maybe pushing 30 goals. And maybe this would be the last year, but just see it one more time. I would hate to see Alex Ovechkin say his last year in the National Hockey League was a year where the Capitals did not make the playoffs. I think that the Metropolitan Division is open, and we saw Carolina running away with it and winning the Stanley Cup, but Washington making the playoffs 2 years ago, missing last year. I would think that all the moves that the Capitals have made right now with Kyrou and Tuch, and there's maybe more to be made, and the depth player and the talent that they have coming up, would pursue like Alex Ovechkin to say, I'm going to come back one more year. And maybe I don't have to be the leader. There's other players that will do that, but I can still produce. I can still play. I think this may push Ovechkin to say, yes, one more year. Let's get it done. Let's make the playoffs and let him finish my career on a high note.
That would be nice. The Caps this past season did not make the Stanley Cup playoffs for just the 9th time over the last 43 NHL seasons. The team so far this offseason is on a mission to make the postseason next season, and you gotta think that Ovi's paying attention. We have arrived at the numerical midpoint of the Washington Nationals 2026 regular season. 81 games down, 81 games to go. The Nats in season number 1 of their analytics-based process and in season number 1 of a restarted rebuild are 41-40. Impossible not to be pleased with that. However, The Nats' relief pitching, which we expected to be bad, is really bad and is costing the Nats games, and this now has happened in each of the last 2 games in a big series. A 5-4 loss to the Philadelphia Phillies at Nationals Park on Wednesday evening in Game 3 of a 4-game series. This was a game in which the Nats blew a 4-3 ninth-inning lead by allowing 2 runs in the top of the ninth, and this loss was off the Nats' 14-9 loss to the Phillies at Nationals Park on Tuesday evening in a game in which the Nats blew a 5-3 eighth-inning lead, overcame a 6-5 eighth-inning deficit, and blew an 8-6 ninth-inning lead by allowing 8 runs in the top of the ninth. The Nats in this regular season now are 41-40 with a run differential of +9. The Phillies in this regular season now are 44-36 with a run differential of -1. The Nats now are 3.5 games behind the Phillies for the National League's first of 3 wild card spots. The Nats in this 5-4 loss to the Phillies at Nationals Park on Wednesday evening used 3 pitchers beyond opener Carson Palmquist and bulkman Miles Michaelis. Now, P.J. Poulin was great. He had not being used as the opener was available in relief, and he delivered. He tossed 1 1/3 perfect innings, came into the game in the top of the 7th with a runner on second, 2 outs, and the Nats up 4-3, and he generated a cold strikeout of the Phillies' number 2 batter, Brandon Marsh, and Poulin then tossed a perfect top of the 8th. Orlando Revolta. He officially allowed 1 run in 2/3 of an inning. He, in the top of the 9th, retired each of the Phillies' first 2 batters, but he then issued a 2-out, 10-pitch walk of pinch hitter and ex-Nat Kyle Schwarber, despite him having been down in the count at 1.12. Richard Lovelady then came into the game. He officially allowed 1 run in 1/3 of an inning. He faced 2 batters and got 1 out. He, to the first batter he faced, gave up a 2-out, opposite field, 2-run homer by pinch hitter Derek Hill to right field on a 1-2 pitch for a 5-4 Phillies lead. A devastating blow as the home run continues to plague Nats relievers. The Nats for this regular season are dead last in MLB in fewest relief pitching home runs allowed, 59, and now are just 24 for 47 on saves. You know, Lovelady got charged with a blown save. The Nats now have 24 saves versus 23 blown saves. Now think about that. Nearly as many blown saves as actual saves. That's hard to do. And yet the Nats are doing that. But another thing with Nats relief pitching, and this may be the biggest problem, lack of strikeouts. The lack of strikeouts is killing this bullpen. The Nats for this regular season are dead last in MLB in relief pitching strikeouts per 9 innings, 7.14. That's horrible. I mentioned the Kyle Schwarber walk. He was down at 1.12, didn't strike out, drew a walk. I mentioned the Derek Hill home run. That came on a 1-2 pitch, didn't strike out, hit a 2-run homer. The lack of the strikeout from Nats relievers is really hurting the Nats. Here was Nats manager Blake Butera during his postgame press conference on Wednesday night on his bullpen decisions, and then you'll hear multiple follow-up exchanges.
Not overextending Revolta. He missed some time earlier this year due to injury. He has been kind of battling some stuff there. He obviously gave it everything he had for those 3 hitters. Long at bat with Schwarber there. He emptied the tank on Schwarber and liked the matchup on Lovelady on Hill more than O on Crawford there, given what he had to work through. Obviously did not work out.
You described yesterday as one of the most frustrating losses you had been a part of. How would you describe tonight's?
Another one, yeah.
At what point do you feel like some of these blown saves are mental more than execution or physical or anything like that?
We got to find a way to get the last out in the ninth. I mean, whatever it is, mental, physical, somebody's got to get that last out.
Was there any thoughts of intentionally walking Schwarber and just having Revolta face Crawford straight up, or did you just like the matchup with Schwarber did?
No, we never like the matchup with Schwarber, of course. We're not just going to put the tying run on.
As you sift through some of these options in the ninth, you've gone with a lot of different guys in the ninth. At what point, if a guy does have a poor performance in the ninth, you decide, hey, we're still going to stick with him for a while. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to continue to give these guys opportunities. I mean, we're throwing everything we have at these guys and giving every guy in the bullpen an opportunity to finish the game for us, and we're going to keep trying to find that guy.
You were saying today how after the game last night, you were able to read the clubhouse, get a good sense that they knew what they had to do today. What kind of vibe did you get from the team in the short time since the game has ended?
Very similar to last night. Just frustration, disbelief, shock, you name it.
Yeah, you can quibble with Blake Butera's bullpen decisions all you want. I don't know how much those decisions matter. These guys just aren't that good. And I have to note this. The game ended with Phillies closer Joan Duran tossing a perfect bottom of the ninth with 3 strikeouts. And there was such poetry in that because that's what the Nats need. A reliever who strikes guys out. Relievers who strike guys out. The game ending like that was so appropriate. A cruel message, a cruel reminder of what this Nats bullpen is lacking. The Nats in this 5-4 loss to the Phillies at Nationals Park on Wednesday evening used an opener who was relief pitcher Carson Palmquist. The Nats on Wednesday afternoon announced having recalled Palmquist from AAA Rochester. Now, his stay with the Nats was short. The Nats late night on Wednesday night announced having optioned Palmquist back to AAA Rochester, but in this game on Wednesday evening officially allowed 1 run in 3 1/3 innings with 3 swinging strikeouts. So he struck guys out. He did well. He pitched for a lot longer than most anticipated. He in a lot of ways wasn't even an opener. This is more like a bullpen game for the Nats with how long Palmquist pitched. But the Nats did then go to starting pitcher Miles Mikolas as their bulk pitcher. He officially allowed 2 runs, none earned in 3 1/3 innings. He gave up 5 hits, which were 2 doubles and 3 singles. He had 1 strikeout versus no walks. He threw 60 pitches, 39 strikes versus 21 balls. The Nats in the top of the 4th allowed 3 runs, but only one of them was earned as second baseman Nasim Nunez committed a 1-out fielding error on an opposite field grounder by Alec Boehm. Mikolas in that Phillies 3-run 4th did give up a 1-out RBI double and a 2-out RBI single. Miles Mikolas now in this regular season, 17 games, including 6 starts, ERA of 5.24, whip of 1.29, and the Nats in this 5-4 loss to the Phillies at Nationals Park on Wednesday evening were so offensively. 4 runs on 6 hits and 3 walks. Now, 5 of the 6 hits were extra base hits as the Nats had 3 home runs, a triple, a double, and a single, but the Nats went 0 for 3 with runners in scoring position and struck out 10 times. But the Nats over 81 games have 108 home runs. The Nats, for all of last regular season, had 161 home runs. The Nats, for all of the 2024 regular season, had 135 home runs. The increase in home run rate has been outstanding. Curtis Mead, a big part of that. He on Wednesday evening came into the game to pinch hit and play third base. He went 1 for 2 with a 2-run homer. Mead in the Nats 2-run 6th had a pinch 2-out first pitch, 2-run homer to left field for a 4-3 Nats lead. The homer came on the first pitch of the game by righty Phillies relief pitcher Jonathan Bolin. Curtis Mead for this regular season now has 13 home runs and an OPS of 796. Speaking of having 13 homers, Luis Garcia Jr., he is the Nats starting first baseman and number 2 batter, went 1 for 3 with a solo homer and 2 walks. Garcia in the Nats 1-run first had a 1-out solo homer to right center field for a 1-0 Nats lead. The homer went a projected 412 feet per Statcast. Luis Garcia for this regular season now has 13 home runs and an OPS of 787. Jorbit Bibas homered for a second consecutive game. He is the Nats starting third baseman and number 7 batter, went 1 for 2 with a solo homer. Bibas in the Nats 1-run second had a 1-out first pitch solo homer to right center field for a 2-0 Nats lead. The homer went a projected 403 feet per Statcast. And C.J. Abrams did return from a 1-game absence caused by left side tightness. He is the Nats starting shortstop and number 4 batter, went 1 for 2 with a double, a walk, a hit by pitch, and a stolen base. And most impressive from him was that walk. Abrams in the bottom of the 7th drew a 2-out 12-pitch walk despite having been down in the count at 1.12. And he had a steal of second base. C.J. Abrams for this regular season now has an OPS of 903. But yeah, the Nats lost. Another rough loss. Game 4 for the Nats against the Phillies at Nationals Park. Thursday evening at 6:45. The Nats have listed Cade Cavalli as their probable starting pitcher for the game. Look, choosing life insurance is tricky. Heck, life insurance as a topic can be uncomfortable, but Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. You'll get your lowest rate from Ethos' network of trusted carriers. And know this, Ethos has a rating of 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 4,000 reviews. Take 10 minutes today to get covered with life insurance through Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/Al Galdi. That's ethos.com/Al Galdi. Ethos.com/Al Galdi. Application times may vary. Rates may vary. The Baltimore Orioles on Wednesday concluded a 9-game trip out west. The 9-game trip consisted of 6 late-night games. If you are an O's fan who's watching these games, this 9-game trip felt like it took about a month and a half. And the trip ended with a terrible loss, a 7-6, 10-inning loss at the Los Angeles Angels on Wednesday to lose 2 out of 3 games in the series and to conclude a 4-5 trip out west. The O's in this game blew a 5-2 8th-inning lead. The O's could have had a series win and a winning road trip, but they instead blew this game. They, in MLB's 2026 regular season, now are 38-44 with a run differential of -25. The Angels in this regular season now are an American League West worst 34-48. The Orioles starting pitcher in this game was Trey Gibson. He allowed 2 runs in 4 innings, 5 strikeouts versus 2 walks, gave up 3 hits, which were a home run and 2 singles through 66 pitches, 42 strikes, 24 balls. He wasn't bad, but he got pulled after just 4 innings, and the Orioles bullpen did not come through. 7 Orioles relievers combined to allow 5 runs, 3 earned in 5 2/3 innings. So the bright spots were Tyler Wells and Ryan Helsley. Wells tossed 1 1/3 scoreless innings with 4 swinging strikeouts. Helsley tossed a perfect bottom of the 9th with 2 swinging strikeouts. So props to those guys. But Rico Garcia, he officially allowed 3 runs in 1 inning. He, in the bottom of the 8th, was charged with 3 runs as he gave up a leadoff double and a 2-out RBI single and then issued a 2-out walk. Garcia, off having been so good, now is reeling. He now has allowed at least 1 earned run in 5 of his last 8 games. Andrew Kittredge, he officially tossed a third of a scoreless inning, but he and the Angels' 3-run 8th faced 3 batters and got just 1 out as he issued a 2-out walk and then gave up a 2-out, bases-loaded 2-run single by Wade Meckler into right field to tie the game at 5. And Keegan Aiken, he officially allowed 2 runs, both of which were unearned in 2/3 of an inning. He, in the bottom of the 10th, retired each of the Angels' first 2 batters, but he then committed the Orioles' 3rd error of the game, a missed catch error at first base off a grounder by Nolan Shanoel to second baseman Jeremiah Jackson. The ball kicked down the right field line, allowing Shanoel to advance to third base, and Aiken then gave up a walk-off 2-out RBI infield single by Logan O'Hoppe, despite him having been down in the count 1-2. And the single was a check swing bouncer off to the left of home plate. Catcher Samuel Basayo got the ball, but Shanoel ran around Basayo and scored the game-winning run standing up. What a strange, odd, quirky way for the O's to lose this game, especially off Aiken having retired each of the Angels' first 2 batters in that bottom of the 10th. But the O's in this regular season have become masters of finding ways to lose. You know how some teams find ways to win? The O's find ways to lose, and they are great. They are elite at finding ways to lose. O's manager, Craig Albernaz, his postgame session with reporters on Wednesday evening began with these exchanges.
I'll be very close to getting out of the inning, get soft contact in those last 2 plays. Just how disappointing to not be able to close that one out there.
Yeah, really disappointing. Obviously it was, I wouldn't say a back and forth game, but, they came back and Pete did a great job of grinding out the at-bat to give us the lead, and, Aiken looked really good. I think he threw all strikes up until that point, and, to have it and that way, it's tough.
Can you walk us through the last 2 plays, first with Aiken covering first, and then Beside on the line, looks like the guy, obviously gets by him.
Yeah, the first one off the end of the bat, kind of in the 4-hole. Pete looks like Pete took the initial step to go get it and realized JJ was there. Aiken did a good job getting off the mound, but it looked like as Aiken was closing to the bag, Pete was closing to the bag as well. So Aiken looked like he slowed up a little bit, not knowing who was going to be there. And then, obviously he missed the ball, and then it was like Chanel kicked it down there. And then the last one, swing and bunt. Sammy thought he could tag the guy, and he didn't even went around him. Yeah.
Could he have thrown to first?
Yeah, I think it's one of those, in his mind, like Logan, even though he's a catcher, he runs well. And so I'm guessing Sammy was doing a calculus or in his head of, if I spin and throw, is it going to be safe, or is it easier to tag the guy to get it out?
It's probably just more noticeable because these are late game situations, but defensive execution late in games, is that an area of emphasis for this team going forward to really try to improve in those areas?
Defense in general. Yeah. It's a constant improvement. Like today, we didn't help ourselves at all, 3 errors on the day. We also had 7 walks, so that's not a good recipe to win a baseball game.
Hindsight is obviously 20/20, but with the play with Aiken covering first, is that a situation where you would prefer Alonso maybe not take a step there and just go straight to the bag?
To me, it's whatever he does, just commit to it. You know what I mean? If he goes and gets it, he goes and gets it, or he just knows where JJ is and gets back, and it's tough. Like, the ball's coming, you think you can get it, you take that initial step, and then it's tough to retreat. But to me, it's whatever your initial reaction is, just commit to it.
You have a fresh bullpen. Is that why you were rather probably aggressive with going to your bullpen early with Trey Gibson after 4 innings there? Was that kind of the calculus because you had such a fresh bullpen?
Yeah, fresh bullpen, and it was they jumped out to a 2-0 lead, and Trey was grinding the early innings, and then he kind of turned it on the last 2. And then we had the fresh pen, and it was lining up towards the top of the order with their lefties, and we had Wolfie ready to go. So, yeah.
Yeah, this has become such a disappointing season for the O's. They now have lost 7 of their last 11 games. The shame of this 7-6, 10-inning loss at the Angels on Wednesday was that the O's were good offensively. 6 runs, 9 hits, which were 2 home runs, 2 doubles, and 5 singles, 3 walks, 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position. The O's got to Angels starting pitcher Jose Soriano, who allowed 5 runs in 3 innings. Soriano's a good pitcher. He came into the game with an ERA of 3.03 over 16 games, all starts in this regular season. 7 of the Orioles' 9 hits came from 3 guys: Samuel Basallo, Pete Alonso, and Taylor Ward. Samuel Basallo, as the Orioles starting catcher and number 5 batter, went 2 for 5 with 2 2-run homers. Did get charged with a pass ball, but Basallo in the Orioles' 2-run second had a 2-run homer to right center field to tie the game at 2. The homer went a projected 434 feet per Statcast, and Basallo in the Orioles' 3-run third had a 1-out 2-run homer to right field for a 5-2 Orioles lead. Samuel Basallo for this regular season now has an OPS of 782. Pete Alonso got on base 4 times. He is the Orioles starting first baseman and number 4 batter, went 3 for 4 with an RBI double, an RBI single, another single, and a walk. Alonso in the Orioles' 3-run third had a 1-out RBI double to the left field corner for a 3-2 Orioles lead despite having been down in the count at 1.12. Alonso in the Orioles' 1-run 10th had a 2-out first pitch opposite field RBI single to right field for a 6-5 Orioles lead. Pete Alonso for this regular season now has an OPS of 815. Taylor Ward, he is the Orioles starting left fielder and number 1 batter, went 2 for 5 with a double and a single. He for this regular season now has an OPS of 754, including a 389 on base percentage. But the O's lost a brutal loss. No game for the O's on Thursday. Next up for them is a 6-game homestand beginning with a 3-game series against the Washington Nationals at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. The O's have listed the following starting pitchers as probables for the series. Game 1 Friday night at 7:05, Trevor Rogers. Game 2 Saturday night at 7:05, Brandon Young. Game 3 Sunday afternoon at 1:35, Kyle Bradish. And that'll do it for you and me for now, but there's more to come. Friday's show, episode 1356. We'll have much more on the Washington Commanders. Also on Friday's show, I'll talk Washington Wizards and Washington Nationals. We have the introductory press conference for A.J. Debonsa on Thursday morning at 11 off the Wizards this past Tuesday night, taking him with the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NBA Draft. And the Nats are home to the Philadelphia Phillies Thursday evening at 6:45 for Game 4 of a 4-game series. Have a great rest of your Thursday, and I'll talk to you on Friday.
And if I'm crazy or if I'm capping, so them boys cut me today. And I'll sign with the Commanders tomorrow. And we'll see who capping.